Live to hear the latest today.
It's inspiring to witness how our community has come together so quickly to help each other out. A true example of neighbors helping neighbors. About a week ago, a historic severe winter storm hit all of us, impacting the state's electrical grid and then our water system. All of this on top of an enduring pandemic that has lasted over a year. Our community has been hit hard, emotionally, physically, financially, and even spiritually. As we begin to shift into recovery and healing mode, I want to highlight some of the things that the City of Austin is working on. And I know I've said this many times, but I do want to continue thanking our city staff who have worked tirelessly 24/7 to restore power and water and get essential resources to our residents. Water distribution pods continue throughout various locations in the region. As of 1 p.m., we have distributed more than 2.1 million bottles of water to our community. Water pod locations and their hours of operation are announced daily through the City of Austin website and social media platforms. We also know that residents are looking for resources to clean up debris from their homes and property. The Austin Disaster Relief Network, Central Texas voluntary organizations active in disasters, and other volunteer management platform, the Crisis Cleanup, are collaborating with the counties of Bastrop, Hayes, Travis, and Williamson to include the cities of Austin and Round Rock in a massive cleanup effort. This effort has begun today to assist Central Texans in clearing their homes and removing debris, and residents in Bastrop, Hayes, Travis, and Williamson counties can call the Crisis Cleanup toll-free number at 1-800-329-8052 to request assistance to clean up their home and debris. Home cleanups will take priority. The Crisis Cleanup line will operate Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. and Sunday, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Homeowners can register for assistance through the Crisis Cleanup number until Tuesday, March 2nd. Now, grocery stores are working to restock their shelves, and they are doing this on a constant basis. We know that many in our community need food and water. There are hundreds of amazing community organizations working to get out food and water to those that need it most, and we are so appreciative of their dedication and commitment. A little later, Edwin Marty, the city's food policy manager, will provide more details about how we are helping to feed the community. As we try to get back to normal operations, I want to remind everyone that we are still in the middle of a pandemic. For those asking about COVID-19 testing and vaccinations, Austin Public Health Safety resumed COVID-19 operations Sunday, February 21st. We are rescheduling vaccine appointments, and that's underway for the estimated 3,300 patients who had appointments canceled starting on February 13th. If you had an appointment, please check your phone and email frequently for updates. Phone banks were also affected by power outages and will be back online to call those without internet access. APH will be adding more locations throughout the week as they come online, which includes hours and days open. And we will also extend our hours to serve as many people as possible with the vaccine that has been allocated. And all APH affiliated testing operations will resume their normal schedules on Monday, February 22nd. To schedule a test through APH, visit austintexas.gov/COVID-testinfo. Again, I want to thank our community. We have all been working hard to get through these tough times. Austin is a resilient community, and we will heal over time. As your city manager, I am truly humbled by everyone that has given back to our Austin community. I've been told that more than 96 organizations have helped with various resources. That's on top of the hundreds of stories of social posts I've seen about neighbors taking in other neighbors, offering warm meals and water, and checking in with each other's mental and emotional health. As an organization, the City of Austin could not have recovered from this event without all of your help. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your support. We know that many have been impacted by this devastating winter storm, and we will all recover together. Now, I'm sure everyone's eager to hear about our water situation, and with that, I will turn it over to Director Greg Mazzaros.
Thank you, City Manager. I want to start off in letting everyone know that we have restored water service and pressures to our customers There may be a few isolated pockets of customers without water. That's really more associated with water main repairs and isolated incidents. So the bulk of all of our customers now have full pressure and service. We're also picking up some calls from customers in apartment complexes without water. Those are most likely associated with repairs that are being done on private infrastructure within those apartment complexes and other locations, just significant damage done to private infrastructure, and as that's being repaired, we may experience short water outages from that. We've also rescinded the boil water notice for the majority of our customer base. Only the far northwest and far southwest portions of our system remain in a boil water notice. We are sampling those areas, and we'll be reviewing those samples tomorrow, and hopefully lifting the boil water notice for those areas. You can go to our website. There are maps and other resources to assist you with determining if you're in one of those areas. We're also using our automated tools to send out texts and phone calls to those to notify that the boil water notice is no longer in effect for them. The biggest remaining task we have in our recovery of the water system is repairing water main breaks. We have repaired hundreds of water main breaks over the last week. We have had almost, over 100 mainline water main breaks. These would be breaks of water mains in our streets. And that's a very large number, probably 10 or 20 times more than we would be experiencing at this time of year. And I think as we look back on this event, we're going to find that it was the preponderance of all of these public and private breaks that was really the main cause of our system draining out of water. Besides the public breaks, we estimate there were probably tens of thousands of private breaks at homes and businesses, and many of these were large, with fire lines and other large infrastructure breaking on the private side. So substantial damage to the public distribution system and private plumbing, and a lot of work ahead to clean those up. We have over 20 crews working 24 hours a day repairing water mains. If you see a crew, please drive carefully around them, give them a hello. They are working fiercely to repair these infrastructure systems. We've also brought in contracted resources to repair these systems. We're repairing water mains at the rate of roughly 40 to 50 every 24 hours, and we're discovering more as we go and canvass through our system, but we're staying up with that, and we'll ultimately get ahead and knock these water mains down. So good news overall in terms of system restoration. I will say also our plants are running well. We're producing abundant water and putting in the system, and so we're really not concerned with pressure problems or other system operational issues other than repairing those water mains. And that concludes my remarks.
Thank you, Greg. I appreciate it. I just, as advice at this point, as many of you know, this is being simulcast in Spanish and with sign language. And so we'll ask our speakers to slow down a little bit so that the sign language and Spanish interpreters can keep up. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Now we're going to turn to our next speaker, Edwin Marty, the Food Policy Manager for the City of Austin. Edwin?
Yeah, thank you so much. Appreciate the opportunity to share some updates on what the City, the County, the Emergency Operations Center are doing regarding access to one of our most essential things as a community, good food. Austin's known for good food. We love good food. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of challenges in the last week regarding access to healthy food. Due to the severe weather we've experienced in our region, issues with power and water, many of the organizations that have been focused traditionally on providing emergency food in our community have been strained and not able to provide their normal levels of service. We understand there's a significant amount of food insecurity in our community before COVID. COVID has exacerbated food insecurity across our community. Unfortunately, these recent weather events are making things even more challenging. We understand there are community members across the city, across the county, across the region that are not able to access the kind of foods that they and their family need. We understand that many people in our community who lost power also lost refrigeration and frozen food supplies. And grocery supplies have been understocked, and we're trying to keep up with the demand. We know that many people in our community are still without food and water, and we're working to coordinate with our partners on getting emergency food out into the community as quickly as possible. There's fantastic organizations across the community working tirelessly and have been for the last 5-6 days to ensure that both the private sector, our grocery retail, convenience stores, et cetera, are well stocked, as well as emergency organizations, food pantries, et cetera, are getting back online. We know that unfortunately the demand is greater than the supply currently. So to address these challenges, we've partnered with numerous organizations over the last couple of days, primarily with the Red Cross. We have been able to secure about 30,000 emergency meals in the last 24 hours. These meals are being distributed at the Millennium Complex, which is located at 1156 Hargrave Street in East Austin. That distribution will occur today until 6 p.m. or until our supplies run out. We'll also stand that same facility up tomorrow, Tuesday, February 23rd, from 1 o'clock until 6 o'clock p.m. We'll again be distributing emergency food supplied by the Red Cross as well as bottled water. We're anticipating to have thousands of community members be able to access emergency food and water at this site. This is intended for a drive-through pickup. However, if you do not have a vehicle and you can make it to the Millennium Youth Complex, you're welcome to walk up and you'll be provided with emergency meals and as much water as you need to carry. The meals that are going to be provided are called MREs, or Meals Ready to Eat. They can be consumed without the need for cooking or heating. We feel like this is an appropriate response given the number of community members who still are not able to sufficiently use their kitchens or heating resources. We are encouraging everyone, as we always do, to practice good COVID safety protocols, which includes wearing a mask while picking up supplies, either if you're driving up or walking up. We are in the midst of a pandemic and still very concerned about your safety, as well as the safety of the volunteers and the staff that are working these events. If for any reason you need food or are not able to make it to the Millennium Youth Complex this afternoon or tomorrow afternoon, we recommend calling 211. It's the absolute best place to get the resources you need for not just food, but for water, any emergency needs that you have. 211 will be able to route you to the correct resource. We encourage everyone to utilize this as much as possible, and we appreciate the incredible partnership with 211, both here and across the state, in providing the resources needed for the community. In addition to 211, we're actively updating the city's website at austintexas.gov/help-atx-winter. You could get the latest information about both emergency food and emergency water, as well as learn where there are volunteer opportunities for you to help out in your community. That concludes my remarks at this time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Edwin. We appreciate that a great deal. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to turn it over to the Development Services Department Director, Denise Lucas, to give her remarks. Denise?
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to share what we've been doing to help our community. Last week, as Austin Energy and Austin Water worked diligently to restore power and water, DSD began working on an emergency response plan to address the urgent repair needs of our community. We know how important it is to start this work to repair as many homes as possible, as many of us at the city, as employees, have endured some of the same unpleasant outcomes of the winter event as well. Today, I would like to share what resources we have put in place to help ease the process and help people get back to somewhat of a normalcy in their homes. We created a dedicated multi-call phone line to assist applicants in need of information regarding emergency repairs. The phone number is 512-974-1500. This information can also be located on our dedicated webpage that provides information specifically regarding what type of work requires a permit and what type of work does not. Our 311 partners also have this information, and they've been given additional information to answer questions regarding work types and what you need to do to get your emergency repairs started. We added the same feature to our live chat for our customers who prefer to communicate in this manner. All of these features are currently in place and ready to accept and answer inquiries. Some of our inspections will be conducted using video technology, which will speed up the process and allow homeowners to install drywall and close up the openings in their walls the same day that the inspection is approved. Our building official developed an alternative method of compliance, but makes it easier for homeowners to use the homeowner permit process. Again, this will speed up the process of getting your needed repairs completed. Later this week, Austin City Council will consider 2 ordinances to waive residential permitting and development fees related to repairs and some of our plumbing requirements. We look forward to sharing more information once that meeting has been held. This past weekend, DSD inspectors partnered with the Austin Code Department to address questions that might come up as Code began their work in assisting their customers, recognizing that many of the questions they might receive would be better suited to be answered by the development department because they would be centered around development and repair. The idea was to get information to people as quickly as possible and reducing the number of contacts they have to have with the city in order to move forward with their processes. From a communication standpoint, we've updated our webpage, Facebook, Twitter. We've sent out newsletter communications. We've partnered with other departments, trade associations, neighborhood associations, and many other organizations on a national and regional basis to ensure that everyone that needs assistance can get assistance as well. We recognize that this is a critical time, and so we're doing everything that we can to do our part to help you quickly get back to normal operations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. We'll now turn the microphone over to Audrey McGlinchey, who's serving as pool reporter. So Audrey, I'm going to turn it over to you. And thank you.
Thank you. Okay, cool. So this first question is from me. I've been seeing reports of apartment complexes, some in regions of the city where water has been restored, still without water. Can someone explain why this might be, and has Austin Water been fielding these kinds of complaints?
Yes, we've been fielding those complaints, and an apartment complex that has multiple buildings has a lot of plumbing. It's private plumbing, water mains in the streets of the apartment complex, and just like our water mains broke, their water mains probably broke, and/or the plumbing in the buildings. So these apartment complexes are needing to effect repairs on that infrastructure and are needing to turn off the water to the complex and make those repairs. That's all within the apartment complex. Really important for residents there to talk to their landlords and apartment complex managers on their plans for doing that work and returning service.
Got it. Thank you. This next question is from the Austin Chronicle. Multiple community groups, mutual aid efforts, other local government agencies, and individual council offices all got water, food, and supplies out to hard-hit Austinites before the city itself did. Are residents wrong to think the city should have done more sooner?
I can take that, and if Edwin wants to add anything, but in every disaster situation, we're learning to learn lessons from how we responded. And that's why we always do after action reports to ensure that we learn and improve. But I will say that the city provided service by returning water and power as soon and quickly as possible. We sheltered thousands of residents, provided support to the hospital systems, answered thousands of 911 calls, cleared roadways and repaired infrastructure, numerous other efforts that only governments can undertake. But the city of Austin and Travis County cannot achieve meeting the needs of a community in the situation without help, and we understand that. And we are so thankful for the efforts of our council members, other elected officials, numerous partner organizations, and regular citizens who stepped up to help one another. Austin is a strong and resilient community because of those efforts. We are deeply grateful for everyone's continued effort to meet the needs of the community as we continue to recover. Edwin, did you want to add?
Sure, thank you. Great question. I will say I have been extraordinarily impressed with the community response, standing up immediate needs, neighbors taking care of neighbors, mutual aid organizations, standing up very quickly to address what they saw as immediate needs in the community. I applaud and am overly impressed by all of these efforts and think it's what makes Austin such a wonderful and special place. That said, the government does have a role in this response. As City Manager mentioned, we did, I think, a fairly wonderful job of getting power and water back as quickly as possible. That said, this was somewhat of an unprecedented incident in Austin. The fact that our major emergency food organizations literally were without power, water, and unable to get staff to their facilities to operate in normal capacity. We do have great relationships with organizations like the Central Texas Food Bank, like Meals on Wheels, and our school districts. All of those organizations traditionally are part of a first response in terms of getting the basic things back out to our community. We've been working with these organizations very closely for the last 8-9 months in the COVID response, and we've developed a number of incredible partnerships and projects. Unfortunately, as Tuesday morning broke, we realized that many of the things that we counted on in the community as part of a comprehensive response were not going to be in place. We did start working on these issues. Fortunately, mutual aid organizations, neighbors, private business owners are in some ways more responsive to dramatic incident like this, and we're able to step up and provide that immediate needs. That said, by Wednesday morning, we were moving as quickly as we could to identify where there were food resources and how to connect those food resources to any and all outlets. We've been working hard this week to stand up a couple of different operations. Been very excited about the response from our partners at the Red Cross. We think that over the next couple of days, we're going to be able to shore up some of the really critical needs in the community. But as City Manager said, there are a lot of lessons learned. We'll certainly be doing a post-incident debriefs, understanding what worked in the community and what didn't work. And I feel confident as a city employee that we're going to be able to do a better job in the future. We'll be able to be more responsive and more nimble. We'll continue to improve. So thank you.
Okay, for the next question, I'll just remind speakers to be slow in your responses so that our translators can keep up. Thanks. Audrey?
Sure. The next question is from the Statesman. Is the city of Austin tracking how many people may have died as a result of last week's cold weather? And when does the city plan to share that information?
I'll try to tackle that. It's really in the purview of the Travis County Medical Examiner that tracks that information. And so I know it takes some time to get that recorded. And then as soon as that is ready to be published, that will become part of the public record. And so unfortunately, that's not a clean answer right now, but it's really in the purview of the Travis County Medical Examiner.
All right. The next question is from Univision. When it came to the rotational blackouts, hospitals were exempt from losing power. Why weren't they excluded from losing water?
We don't rotate water. That is an impossibility with the water system. The water system was really at the mercy of all the water main breaks and other weather impacts, and we had no control where water mains were breaking, where water was leaking out, where reservoirs were emptying. That was really just a factor of the way the event unfolded. And there is really no decision making involved with who gets water or who doesn't.
All right, the next question is from Fox 7. Do residents who dripped their faucets need to be concerned about big water bills?
We are examining with the city manager, and the council will be taking up this week and in the future options for us to consider bill relief strategies for customers. So the details yet to be coming, but we want to keep customers financially whole with regards to the impacts of this event.
Okay, going down the line of second questions. This one is from me at KUT. What does the Development Services Department know about how widespread the damage to single-family homes and apartment complexes is because of the storm? How many requests has your department gotten thus far for permits to do repairs caused by the weather?
So we do not know exactly how many homes have been damaged by the weather. And so far today, since we opened up all our hotlines and our online tools, we've had 5 requests for permits. We do believe that it's early and that the demand will come later as people find out what types of parts they need to do the repairs and whether those parts are in stock and can be delivered quickly. We do know that there's been a lot of concern around water heaters where there's been some freezing and causing damage that requires it to be replaced. And so we really think that until the supply can catch up with the demand, DSD will be at the end of that particular chain with getting the permits issued.
Thank you. This next question is from the Austin Chronicle. On Sunday, the 4 East Side council members called on City Manager Spencer Cronk to communicate to the public the city's plan to provide food to insecure households in the coming weeks. What can you tell us about that plan today?
I'll start, and then if Edwin wants to add anything, but we certainly acknowledge how monumental this task is in recovering from this storm on top of the pandemic. And in so many other communities, Austin has this network of organizations to provide food, including grocery stores, nonprofit organizations. Edwin referred to the fact that we really spent time making sure that those organizations and grocery stores had power and water because they can reach a network much broader than ours. But we can also supplement the work that's happening in the community through the incredible nonprofit organizations and organic resources that have sprouted out throughout our community. And we have supplemented that in the last 24 hours. We just came from the Millennium Youth Center just a minute ago and was with our council member Natasha Harper Madison, handing out both food and water, but also other supplies that the community donated. This is a team effort, and we are so proud of everyone that has been pitching in. And wherever we can find those gaps, we are filling them, and that can be the role of government to make sure that no one falls through the cracks. Edwin?
Yeah, thank you. I would just sort of break up the response into a couple pieces. So we've got an immediate response, we've got a short-term response, and then a mid to long-term response. So our immediate response was to try to get as many resources out into the private sector and the NGO community, working through mutual aid, et cetera. So we're sort of wrapped up the immediate need this weekend. We're now in what I would call the short-term response, which is now Monday the 22nd through Thursday the 26th. We think that this next 4 or 5 days is going to be critical. So many people now are sort of just starting to discover the real infrastructure issues that they're having. We're also really just starting to sort of feel the impact of all the people who were not able to work last week. People living in hourly wage jobs that weren't able to go into work. They were using up their savings last week, and this week they're going to really face some challenges. So we are painfully aware that both we have infrastructure problems that are just starting to surface, and we have a fair number of low-income daily wage workers that are not going to have the resources that they need to get the adequate supplies for themselves and their families. So recognizing that, we're doing everything we can to stand up these mass distributions. We're planning to continue these afternoon mass distributions as long as we need them, working with partners. We're also working to backfill all of the incredible work that our local partners are doing, working with the Red Cross to try to make sure that emergency meals are available to absolutely everybody who needs them. So not just at these mass distributions, but we're also channeling these to probably a half dozen other organizations as we speak to ensure that their work can continue. So I think the short-term response is really just about mass distributions and bolstering the work in the fantastic food pantry and non-government organization side. Lastly, I'll just say we are concerned about the mid to long-term response. We've been working very hard for the last 8 months to understand a very complicated and new food insecurity landscape in Austin as a result of the COVID-19 economic downturn. Next week, when everybody's back with power and water and hopefully getting back to some level of normalcy, that level of normalcy is unfortunately embedded within the reality of this global pandemic and economic downturn. So our work is not going to change in terms of needing to bolster the resources in the community. We're hoping to address some really important state legislative issues that'll make sure that low-income community members can access the federal benefits that they're entitled to. And we're very excited in tracking the federal responses that are coming down now for this weather response. So we'll have a lot more to talk about in the next 24 to 48 hours about those. But we're working hard to try to create this multi-pronged approach. Thank you.
The next question is from the Statesman. How would the city fund getting food to insecure households? Will funds for existing city programs be impacted?
I can start, and obviously we're looking into all potential resources, both within city funds, state funds, and then federal resources. And so we will be trying to determine what will be eligible and how we can get those needs met. This is something that is still ongoing and determining how we can understand the repayment options that would be available to our community. Edwin, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, just very quickly, I'll say we've been fighting pretty hard to make sure that the resources needed in our community for the COVID-19 response are available. We are very excited to say that the city and the county together have been able to support a range of significant investments. As a food policy manager, I can tell you we've invested more money in the last year in addressing food insecurity in our community than we ever have. Pointing out, programs such as the school district caregiver meal programs, which are unfolding as we speak today, standing back up. Substantial investments in those programs. We plan to continue those investments throughout this year. I don't think anybody would like to see that hard work that's being well received in the community and appreciated from the partner organizations. Want to see that go away. So I wouldn't see any reason why we wouldn't continue the programs that are successfully stood up with the COVID response. And if we can do our job correctly, we'll find out how to use the federal resources to bolster those responses.
All right, barring anyone else typing in a question, this seems to be the last one. This is from KXAN. What lab or labs does Austin Water utilize to test and ensure water is safe to lift a boil notice? For those parts of the city still waiting, is there an estimate on when that could be lifted?
We have extensive certified lab that we run, and that is who collects our samples and does the testing. We are collecting samples, have collected samples in the areas that are yet to be lifted from a boil water notice. It takes approximately 24 hours to culture a sample and interpret it. So hopefully about this time tomorrow, plus or minus a few hours, we'll be able to announce lifting those areas that are still in a boil water notice, provided those samples all come back clear.
Okay. Thank you, Audrey, very, very much. We appreciate you coming and serving as a pool reporter. Before I turn it over to the city manager for some closing words, I want to thank the city manager and our department directors for coming and talking with us and answering questions from the media. This is certainly a time in which having good communication with everyone is extremely important as we move through this crisis and get past it. I want to remind the news media, should you have any follow-up questions or need more information, please send us an email at media@austintexas.gov, and we'll be happy to respond as quickly as possible. I also want to alert people to the resource page that the city has as we go through this situation, these circumstances. That website is austintexas.gov/weatherinfo, austintexas.gov/weatherinfo. And that'll be a resource page that you can go to find out more information or referrals or resources that are available to you. I want to thank everyone for participating today, and I'll turn it back over to our city manager for some closing remarks.
Thank you. And again, thanks to everyone for joining us this afternoon. This is hopefully pivoting to this recovery phase as the news of much of the city being lifted from the boil water notice. I hope we are feeling some sense of relief, even though we know that this recovery process will be long. But thank you for everyone who has offered help, support, and resources to our community. The help provided has had a tremendous impact, and we are so grateful to all of you for the patience and support you are showing each other. And if you haven't already, just take a minute to call your loved ones, friends and neighbors, especially the elderly, to make sure they're okay and have the essential resources they need as we continue to return to normalcy from this winter storm. We have been tested time and time again with the emergency after emergency, and we recover each time. I am confident that we will recover from this too. Thank you.
Thanks again, everyone. Please let us know if you need the other information, and this will conclude today's press briefing.
All right,
Thanks
you've
again,
been
City
listening
Manager.
to a
We
live
appreciate
press
you.
conference from the city of Austin. Here are some of the big takeaways from today's press conference. Austin Water still working on getting the water back to normal. Most of the city has had their water restored. Now, the city says emergency food is also being distributed at the Millennium Youth Entertainment Complex for anyone still in need today. It's located at Hargrave Street. That's in East Austin. If you aren't able to make it out there, you can call 211 to get help for things like food and water if you need it. If you need to make repairs to your home, call 311 to get details on what sort of repairs need a permit, and they'll help you along the way there. Here's a look at where the boil water notice still stands here in Austin. The green is good, the yellow not so much. Parts of northwest and southwest Austin still have to boil water today, but as they just said, perhaps by this time tomorrow, the entire city will be out of that boil water notice. We will keep you updated here on KVUE. You can find this detailed map plus details about other boil water notices around Central Texas. That's all on the website, KVUE.com. We'll, of course, have more on the recovery efforts across Central Texas tonight here on KVUE News at 5 and 6. But for now, we'll return you to your regularly scheduled programming. We'll see you back here at 5.
22 people.
22 people, yeah.